Hey, all right. Today I'm going to apply a Relic shield transfer and videotape the whole thing. And then please watch my adjoining video where I talk about the look of the whole unit and my thoughts overall on this type of shield transfer. All right, without further ado, let's do one of these. Okay, so I just started doing these waterside transfers very recently. I was kind of convinced by the good salesmanship of the owner of Relic, and he gave me a lot of tips on how to prepare and use these transfers, including different products I'd need to purchase and how to prepare the surface and things like that. So the first thing you got to do is use a very sharp either scalpel or X-Acto, and I actually didn't do it hard enough here on this first try, to pull out the inside of the shield that would be set up for the boss or the spine. I like to do this in a series of straight line cuts where possible. Doing a few of these. Hard to capture this perfectly on camera. It is a little bit of a labor-intensive process to get it going. I'll say it's just marginally easier than doing the same work on a Little Big Man Studios shield transfer. And I think the real reason why it's a little bit easier here is that working with a thinner medium. Transfer itself is quite thin, and there's not that big thick plastic protection over the sticker like you have a Little Big Man. All right, so I finished that portion of it. Now this part I'm going to have to do off camera. We've got a set of shears, and I'm just going to quickly go around the edges and cut this guy out. It's not super important, just like with Little Big Men, to get it absolutely perfect, because around the edge, if there's anything that looks odd, you can always hit it with a little bit of wash or paint to smooth it out, which I'm certainly going to do later in this process. Okay, there we go. We've got it ready. Now we already have a shield prepped. This has a coating of leather brown Army Painter's spray in the back, nothing else. And on the front we have a white prime. Now, in speaking, and I haven't yet painted the boss or the spine. I was going to do that after this stage because I wasn't sure exactly how I'd want each of the spines to look until I get that transfer in place. Now, in speaking with the owner of Relic, he's assured me that you actually don't need to prime these ahead of time. It'll go on to bare metal. I did the priming anyway because I'm going to be painting some of these pieces, like the boss and the spine, as I explained. And my shield method, I already spray the backs brown just because of the wood. So, first thing I'm going to do, I've got a little bowl of warm water off camera. Actually, it's not warm anymore. I'm going to put a little drop of water and just spread it with my finger on the shield itself. Now, I'm going to remember one of the key tools is a little silicone tipped, it's like kind of like a brush, but it's a silicone tip. Just something to spread the shield out as possible without using my fingers. And some tweezers for dipping it in the water. I don't think that's strictly necessary, but I don't mind it as part of the process. My fingers especially tend to get, when I'm hobbying, they tend to get glue and paint stuck to them, and I don't really want any of that detritus on here. All right, so let's see if I can do this. So I'm going to put down a little bit of, I'm going to take this decal and I'm going to throw it into the water. So I've just doused it into the pool here. I'm going to wait about 20 seconds. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put just a little bit of setter on the surface of the shield. Maybe a little more than a little bit. This is Mr. Mark's setter. It's one of the products recommended by the owner of Relic. Okay, and I'm going to pick this out carefully with tweezers. And at this point, hopefully, the top is ready, like the actual transfer itself is ready to be separated from the paper backing. And last time I did this, it wasn't quite ready and I kind of tore it a little bit. So let's hope. All right, so I've pulled it out. Let's get it a little better into camera view. All right, let's pull this thing off. I'll just use my fingers. Hope for the best. All right, it's ready to come off now. Great. Came right off with a little thumbing. Okay, and I have to be very, see that? You have to be very careful here if you don't want to do what I just did. I've set it up in such a way where it's going to rip if I don't carefully. All right, so as you can see, it's a fiddly process until you're used to it, and I am not yet used to it. I'm sure for people who've been doing this for many years, it's super easy, but for me, just recovering from surgery, hand surgery, I don't quite have the dexterity to do this, but I recovered it, and look at this. It's not terribly damaged, maybe ripped a little bit around the boss. Now I am just making sure that it's in the right place before I drain out this liquid. I see down at the bottom, it's just a little more spine than the hole is cut for. Oh. And what you definitely don't want to do is let two pieces of this decal touch each other, because it's going to create a really unpleasant crimp. And I'm getting plenty of those here. With that said, I think later in the process, we might be able to hide those through clever application of paint, as well as with another product we're going to add, which is a softener, although it's just plain called softer. I think it might be just something that's a little lost in translation from Japanese. Okay, well, this isn't great. But we did finally get it applied, at least. I'm gonna get rid of some of this excess liquid. Wow, look at that. Okay, pretty fiddly. Again, it's my own dexterity is coming at play here. I might be overthinking the use of these tools. Okay, now I'm going to, this is starting to look pretty good. Now I'm going to pull off some more of this liquid here with a Q-tip. Okay, so I mostly fixed it. Good. And then I'm going to hit the whole thing with the softer product. And unfortunately the label came off in shipping, but it's Mr. Mark's Softer. And I got these two as a pack on Amazon. They weren't too expensive. So this is just a brush on. I'm gonna brush it on. And later in my process, which I do with all of my models, I'm gonna hit it with dull coat. Now, I'll likely brush on the dull coat. So I just recently had a really bad experience where dull coat ruined an entire army. So that was fun. I didn't apply it any differently than normal. It was not high humidity. It was not low temperature. It just plain happened. Okay, so now I'm going to let this thing dry, and then once it's dried, I'm going to paint that boss. I might leave the spine white, but I'm going to hit it with a little bit of glazing. Now let's come in here closer, take a look at the shield, see how it came out. All right, so I would say, you know, it came out pretty well. I like that. I have a lot more to apply, and I think you might be seeing from this shot, who is this product for? This product is for the people who look at these designs and say, that design is what I want on my unit. And I'm one of those people. I looked for a long time for appropriate shields for my Thracians. I also looked for a long time for appropriate shields for my Thureos. And I was let down by all of the options, even my beloved little big men. These are just plain superior designs. They have a lot more character. Their Illyrian stuff is especially characterful. I love their Irish stuff. Like, let me, you know, I'm gonna spend a moment just show a few of these transfers. Not just say what I love, I'll show them. So I'm doing my Dark Age Irish for these transfers for no other reason other than I love the designs. Look at that little bloody hand on one of those. That is such a great little detail. We've got here Celtic Cavalry. Love it. Love it. There's a couple of designs here that just truly are unique. And you know, some of them, like maybe this bottom row, are a little more classic, right? You see that in a lot of different kits. The gigantic boars and horse and the, you know, two-tone ravens here. I love that. That's good artistry. Thracian Cavalry. This is maybe my favorite kit. You got the giant, you know, Gorgon face. You have the ram's head, the Triskelion up at the top, some crabs. This is great. Captured Roman shield down at the bottom, I believe. It's just really cool. I cannot wait to paint out my Thracian Cavalry. Such a unique option. And then I spoke about these earlier. A lot of the same kind of elements, so like you can use the shields all in the same army. It feels like the same army, but here's their, I dropped one. This is their sheet for Thureos, and holy cow, so much character. You compare this to some of the other options available, like say Victrix Thureos shield designs, which are really just plain Seleucid. You can't use them for anything else. These can be used by anyone, and you even have one that's like particularly Seleucid, which is, you know, great, the elephant down there, but it can really be used for any of the successors with a few exceptions. I love these. These are so cool. And again, that's who these transfers are for. Don't worry about them being a little more time intensive. Don't worry that they require some very inexpensive extra products to get them right. I don't think you only want to use water, but you know, you could if you properly seal it when you're done. A little more time intensive, a little more expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, both things are minor, and what you're getting are superior designs for some specialty units that are out there. So I highly recommend these, and I'll be coming back with a showcase video to show all of my new Relic stuff with a few painted units, and by then I should have a full reshielded unit of Thracians. And I've already done, well, now I've done 2 of these shields, but I already had one of these shields prepared ahead of time. Let me get it into the light a little better. And this has Rumphia built right into it, which is a really great touch too. It's got some with javelins built in, Rumphia, double javelins, some pretty cool stuff. Now, on the one that we were just prepping today, notice that there was an extreme gloss finish on it. Well, that goes away immediately with a little hit of dull coat, and ends up looking like a nice worn shield. I haven't yet highlighted these base coats or cleaned up mistakes. I'm going to do that when I finish the whole unit. And again, we'll come back for a showcase for that stuff. All right, well, that's it for today. Go check out Relic. They have some really, really cool shield designs. And as you saw here, it's not too difficult. Certainly not too kind of time consuming. All right, thanks.